Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor, and we begin with some fallout from the Durham report last week and how the American people have digested the information they've learned about the FBI, the Russian collusion hoax, and a whole lot more. We begin with a Harvard Harris poll of Americans that shows very specifically 56% of Americans believe Trump's collusion with Russia was a fake story. They also, by the same number, 56%, believe that the Steele dossier was a big pile of garbage. Of course, the answer to why the American people believe that is pretty simple, because Trump Russia collusion was a fake story and the Steele dossier was a big pile of garbage. After 7 years of propaganda from the mainstream media and from powerful people like Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, all of pop culture, every late night television show, Saturday Night Live, academia, every major newspaper telling you that Donald Trump stole the election in 2016. After 7 years of that, the American people have settled on the truth. The whole thing was a hoax. The whole thing was a fraud. And that was confirmed by the Durham report last week. But there's more in this Harvard Harris poll that really does make you see what's going on in this country with regard to fake news and with regard to corruption in how the federal government investigates crimes. Let's turn to the Hunter Biden laptop story. Again, this is in this Harvard Harris poll. 59% of the American people believe the Hunter Biden laptop story is real versus Russian disinformation. Of course, all of those powerful people I just listed, including those powerful media outlets, assured everyone for years that this was Russian disinformation. In fact, if you said it was anything but Russian disinformation prior to the 2020 election, your voice was silenced, your tweets were deleted, maybe you got your account suspended. There was censorship directed by members of the federal government to social media outlets. But of course, the story is real. The American people get the truth. But there's more about the Hunter Biden laptop story that is revealing in this poll. Over half of voters think that Joe Biden himself was personally involved in this illegal activity revealed on the Hunter Biden laptop story. Over half of the American people feel that Joe Biden benefited financially from his son's illegal activities. Over half of the American people think their president is a lying crook. Then it gets even worse if you want to see actual law and justice performed in this country, because over half of the American people, 55% of the American people, don't really believe that the FBI is investigating the Hunter Biden laptop story. Over half of the American people believe the Justice Department is just pretending, that they're not really looking into the crimes that they believe go all the way up to the President of the United States. Over half of the American people think their Justice Department and the FBI is corrupt. Actually, it gets even worse for the FBI when you see this result. Over half, actually nearly 3/4 of the American people believe that there needs to be wide-ranging reform in law enforcement and the intelligence community at the federal level to prevent interference in elections. 71% of the American people believe the FBI and the intelligence community have been interfering with American elections. 71% of the American people believe the 2016 election and the 2020 election had influence from the United States FBI and intelligence communities. Election meddling by the federal government. And they believe that real reforms need to be put in place to stop the next election from being interfered with. Will those reforms take place? Well, not if Joe Biden has anything to say about it, or Merrick Garland. Conservative Republicans in the House of Representatives would like to move us down the path toward reform, but Democrats in the Senate are holding it up. The last time Congress actually did implement reforms in the FBI and the intelligence communities came after the abuses of J. Edgar Hoover's reign at the FBI. That was in the mid-70s. It was called the Church Report. And that only happened because both Republicans and Democrats were victims of the FBI's illegal wiretapping and other nefarious actions. Things are different now. You see, it seems it's only Republicans who are the victims of this kind of behavior. Democrats actually control the FBI. And whenever they do get involved in election interference or other nefarious activities that we're told are just missteps that will certainly be corrected in the future, well, it always benefits one party at the expense of the other. In other words, the Democrats believe that this corrupt FBI is theirs. So why should they reform it? There's some other concerns in this poll as well that I think you need to see. Do the American people believe Joe Biden is mentally fit to be president of the United States? Majority of Americans, 57%, say no. Do you think that Joe Biden is too old to be president of the United States? 65% say yes. Now, what do all of these stories have in common? Let's go through the list. Do you think that the Russian collusion story was fake? Yes, say the American people. Do you think that the Hunter Biden laptop story is real? Yes, says the American people. Do you think Joe Biden directly benefited from his son's illegal activities? Yes, say the American people. Do you think that the FBI is really investigating the Hunter Biden laptop story? No, say the American people. Do you think that the FBI and the intelligence community need to be reformed to keep them from meddling in future elections? Yes, overwhelmingly, say the American people. Do you think that Joe Biden is mentally unfit to be president? Yes, say the American people. Do you think that Joe Biden is too old to be president? Yes, say the American people. Every single one of those stories that the American people affirm, the mainstream media through broadcast networks and most cable news networks, as well as the Washington Post and New York Times and every major journalism outfit, they all tell a story contrary to what the American people believe. This is after years and years and years of relentless coverage by those journalistic endeavors telling you the opposite. The American people see through the lies the mainstream media is giving you. Which leads us to this final item. Trust in America's news outlets has collapsed to historic new lows. The media is not trusted by the American people, nor are the institutions of the FBI, the Justice Department, or the intelligence community. We are at a breaking point here in this country. We're at a point where we actually need journalists to do their job. And according to the American people, they're just not. Now, thankfully, the American people have actually been able to find the news and information that brings them to the truth, despite the efforts of these multi-million-dollar corporate media outlets. But at what point do we actually get the reforms, not just in government, not just in the FBI and the intelligence community, but also in journalism that the American people demand and deserve? Well, you need to keep rattling the cage a bit and keep turning off the news outlets you used to watch. That's why we're happy to have you here tonight on O'Connor Tonight. Thanks for watching Salem News Channel. There's more to come. Keep it right here.